Welcome back to part 3 of our interview with Lee Caraher, where she tells us how to speak your employees' language, as well as how and why you should measure your company's values. Stick around. Part 3 is just around the corner.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. So tell us a little bit about your straight. You know, you had the opportunity to take this really from your basement, I believe, correct? That's where you started it?
Yeah, so I started the company in 2002. I actually wasn't my intention to start a company, but my mom, I had quit my job after 9/11 because I was just, I really disliked it intensely, although the company I worked for is very, very generous to me and has tried their hardest to get me to stay. But it just was a turning point for me. I'm like, I don't want to do what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? And I thought I was going to take a year off. Ended up driving my husband crazy. I'm the breadwinner in our household. We call me the chief bacon officer. My husband is the chief home officer.
I like it.
And I was in his domain, and he didn't like it. And we had an incident with laundry that, we're still recovering from 15 years later.
I can't let you escape without, some details here. I've never had on this show an incident with laundry brought up.
And so I was pursuing traditional in-house jobs. When my mother got sick, my parents lived in Wisconsin, I lived in San Francisco. She got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, 4 months to live, and I pulled myself out of those job searches because I was going to be with my mom. I'm the breadwinner. I was like, I better do something else. And out of it came this company, which I started with my good friend and former colleague, Dan Stevens, who's since gone on. I bought him out. He wanted to go do much larger agency stuff. And I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just repeating the bad practices that so many companies in our business are. So we created a different kind of model. We made our rules of what we would and wouldn't do. And in the end, the first 4 years, my mom actually ended up living 4 years, not 4 months. So I spent half of the year for the first 4 years of this company in Wisconsin, sort of running it from there, going back and forth. The learning I have from that is we have changed dramatically. We've changed our business model twice since then to get ahead of the market. We have totally changed our services. Our functions remains the same. Find people who the company wants or a person wants to connect with and help the company connect with them. But how we do it has changed dramatically in that time. But our principles of the business, which were, be interested in the work because, people do better work when they like what they're working on. Be a good fit because an agency can be great and a client can be great and you can suck together if you're not a good fit. Get paid because we like to eat and only work with great people. Don't work with jerks or that A word. Have stayed the same for 15 years, although it has looked very different given the massive changes in our business over those 15 years.
Yeah, it evolves. So often, clients who was a great fit for you 5 years ago is no longer a great fit for you. You've just evolved to a different either niche or level of client.
Or they have evolved.
Yeah.
We really don't want to do. We do some international work, but I don't want to spend my time overseas.
Right.
So we have partner agencies around the world, and we had a client, our biggest client, who's all of a sudden their business flipped, and it was, when we started with them, it was 90% U.S., 10% Canada. When after 9 years, it was 40% U.S., 10% Canada. 50% rest of world, and growth was going to happen rest of world. Well, we're not the right firm for that if they want one firm, right?
Right.
And so we went to them and said, you need so much more support others around the world, and we can do it two ways. One, we can I've done this. My agency, the people here have done all that work before, put in international teams around the world. You can put in international teams and have us manage them, and we'll find best of class in every single market you want to be in, which probably means we won't have one firm. We're going to have 7 firms or whatever. Or you can hire an international firm that has offices in all those places. You won't get best of class for your category, probably in places where you want to be, but you'd have one point of interface, right? Because my agency wasn't going to take. We're a small firm, we're not going to take on the weight of managing other firms on the P&L side.
Right.
And over 3 or 4 months, we just came to the mutual conclusion that it was better for them to go to one firm than to have us spend the money on their behalf finding the right people, right? And that was hard, but it was the right thing to do, right? It was the right thing to do. And if you, in the end, I think for service firms, and we're all service companies in some way, shape, or form, if you're doing the right thing for the client, then your business will flourish even if your numbers go down, because it's the long view you have. If you have the benefit of independence and someone not looking for a quarterly return, then taking the long view is always going to be in your good stead, as long as you keep thinking about how it's going to change. People who stay static and only are willing to, I've done this for 10 years, I'm not going to do it any differently, you might as well really just close the door. This is not going to happen. But if you can always put your client in the center, then even if you're not working for them, they will come back to you in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, no question. No question. I had a client for 17 years, and literally he just had me on retainer the last 10 years. He just said, look, I'm just going to pay you this amount of money. I just want you to be there. Just pick up the phone if I need you. Mm-hmm. Why? Because of the value I provided the first 7 years.
Right.
It just do the right thing. I want to go back to something that you said here, because this is where I see a lot of companies screw up. A lot of entrepreneurs, business owners. You've got a set of rules of what you will do and what you won't do. And I don't care if it's business. I don't care if it's relationships. I don't care if it's personal. I don't care what it is. If you don't have any rules and values of what you will and you will not do, you will never get to where you want to go.
Ever.
Period.
Ever, 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 ever.
Yeah. You need that guidance.
You have to have that, and you not just the though I gave you my 4 guidelines of business, but I think that around the values you have in your business really is not just we want to be excellent, but really what are those behaviors that will demonstrate that you're living your values, so that you can have people come from all different parts of the country or different parts of the world and have a common understanding of what excellence means to you. Because so often you see, you walk into a company, you'll see, here are our values, and excellence is on all of them. Excellence is not on ours. But you don't know what that means, because excellence could be 95% call rate. Well, if you have 1 million calls, 5% could kill you, right?
Absolutely right.
If you have 100 calls, 1 call goes down, it's all right. But, oh my goodness, right? So scale is everything. So the behaviors that you actually articulate with your company, with your employees, that are attached to each of those values are really what drive efficiency and productivity. Not just having, we all want to be good. Right. Well, my good, maybe your average, and that common language around what is expected is what helps get that flywheel going. And it's not just, it's also at home. Right. My husband and I, my kids and I, we know when mom says X, everybody better step on up. It doesn't happen very often, right? Because I'm not in charge at home. But we have a common knowledge, common understanding of what the rules of engagement are. And I think often businesses don't go that extra step to say, here's what showing up means. Showing up doesn't just mean like being here. Showing up means being here, being engaged, paying attention, offering your help up if you have an extra minute, all that kind of stuff, right? But you have to do that. Each culture has to have their own values. Pat Lencioni has a great book called The Advantage, which I highly commend to you all, because it really goes through a process of helping to identify what are those behaviors that will articulate your your values without having to say them.
I love it. You just touched on a point that is really near and dear to my heart. I just actually got done giving a speech on this last weekend. Communication and language. In your home, you're all speaking the same language. When you say something, the whole family knows what that particular word means, okay?
Right.
And so often in business and in relationships and every part of your life, we think we're communicating with someone, and we say something in the English language like, I want you to be on time.
Right.
I'll get 10 people in a room, and I guarantee you everyone's going to have a different idea of what's on time. And we leave our language at such a shallow level, and we assume that everybody is on the board or on board with my definition. Of course, you never even told them what your definition is. Exactly. And then when they don't do it, you get pissed off.
This is one of the biggest things that I've found in my work around intergenerational teams, which are, frankly, if you don't have an intergenerational team, you don't have a future in your business, right? But there is, I would bet it's over 50% of issues in companies are about being on time. And what is the culture of timeliness? And what is the definition of timeliness? So in my company, if you are on time, so if the meeting starts at 9 and you show up at 9, you are 5 minutes late.
Excellent.
Because the meeting starts at 9.
Right.
I don't want you sitting freaking down, open up your book. No, you got to be ready to roll. Other companies just stroll right in. As long as you're walking through that door by 9 o'clock, that's okay, right? So one, what does that mean? Two, their on time is very subjective, actually. And there's a lot of shoulds and assumptions built into that. Instead of where we can get precise, where the more precision you can drive into communication, the better off you're going to be. It's actually don't show up on time. Show up at 9:05, please. Right?
Yeah.
Because if you say you're late, I wasn't late. I was here on time. No, you got here at 9:15. Yeah, perfect. I'm great. I'm on that ish factor of 20 we got. I'm like, no. There's no ish factor.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that ish factor? Yeah. Right? But if you're precise, our hours, I need you here at 8:30 in the morning, and you'll leave at 6:30 p.m., and that's the day tomorrow. That's what's going to look like. And if you're not going to be here by 8:30, I expect a phone call and telling me that you're on your way or what's going on, so that I, A, don't think you're dead in the street, and B, you're accountable to your time. But when we say on time or you're late, it's very subjective. And it creates a lot of confusion because, I thought it was okay to be 15 minutes, ish factor 15 or whatever, 30, whatever it is. And that creates so much conflict. And people who don't want to be mean or don't want to be the bitch or don't want to be the asshole. Again, sorry, I'm going to be explicit today. Sorry.
No, look, this is what wakes people up.
If you don't want to be the bitch or the asshole, they don't do it because they think, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the person they're all over beers just complaining about. Well, here's the deal. If you're in charge, they're complaining about you. Get over it. Yeah. And drive as much clarity and precision into your communication as possible, and then they're not going to talk about you. Trust me, they care less. Yeah. But if you create confusion, trust they are drinking extra on your behalf.
Yeah, no question. I believe in the aircraft model when it comes to meeting and being on time. The boarding door is closing. Yeah. We had a meeting with my manufacturing company every day. It started at 9 o'clock. That's what time work started, 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, we locked the front door. Yeah. You couldn't get in the building. Yeah. So I don't care if you had a flat tire. I don't care if the cat died. It doesn't matter. You're not getting in. And when the meeting's over at 9:25, you're in. And then guess what? You're clocking in 25 minutes late.
Yep. I'm with you.
Period. We didn't have a lock on the conference room door, but I'm a big supporter of that. You got a conference room? Put a lock on it. When the meeting starts, you lock the door. Nobody gets in.
If you have, I'm in favor of that if you have a culture that supports that, right?
Well, that's a very good point. If that's important to your organization,
right? Yeah. I mean, it would support because it probably wouldn't support the locked door, but we definitely support. You don't get to talk if you're late.
Yeah.
And that's what we
put a jar at the front, $20 to get in the meeting.
Yeah, you're not allowed to contribute if you're late. Well, sorry, And there are exceptions to the rule. Yes, my car broke down. Couldn't do much about it. Sorry.
Yeah.
So call. If your car breaks down, you make a phone call and you say, here's what I want the meeting. I'm not going to get there. Thor, I'm on the frickin' freeway. I'm not going to get there. I'm waiting for AAA. Here are my 5 points that I want to have made in this meeting. So that at least you have a chance of contributing.
Right.
If you're going to be late and can't contribute, understanding what your culture is, and you have to fit into the culture. The culture doesn't go to you, right?
Yeah.
And the culture is all about those behaviors we discussed around the values. So you have to live them every day to make them real. Because if you're the leader and you're the exception to every rule, you got no rules.
Yeah.
And you got nothing, right?
Yeah. We talk about culture all the time with our clients, and I said, look, you don't have to tell me what's on the board, on the wall. As a matter of fact, it doesn't matter. I want to spend some time in your organization looking at the people, seeing what's being done. I can tell what your culture is. It's not about what's on the wall. It's about what's being lived.
Exactly.
What are your clients?
We measure our value. So because we have given articulated behaviors for each of our values, we measure them.
I love you. I talk about measuring all the time. All the time. I said, look, if you don't measure it, it's not being addressed. It's not being improved.
If you don't measure, it doesn't matter. Right?
I'm measuring values. Tell me more about that.
So we've articulated all of our values. So we have 6 values, and they each have between 4 and 6 or 7 behaviors that which should be living to demonstrate that you understand and are living the values, right? So the be on time thing is under show up, our show up value, and it's 5 minutes ahead, ready to roll on the dot, right? So at a conference call, don't be dialing in at 9. It's going to take you 3 minutes to get through the system, depending on what the system is. You dial in early, whatever it is, right? So then, because we have all these behaviors, it ends up being a 2-page document. And then it's does the person exhibit it seldom, most of the time, or never? And if you get nevers, you're out. And if you get seldoms, it's how can we help you get to most of the times? Because the never means you're not a fit here. You don't respect the other people in their organization. Doesn't mean you're a bad person, but it means you don't belong at Double Forte. And seldoms means probably that you didn't understand them, and you have to. We have to have our conflict. We have a process of conflict resolution called circling. That I'm like. I do very seldom of these things. It never happens. I mean, it doesn't happen very often anymore that I'm resolving conflict for other people because I just say, have you circled it? And if someone comes to me with an issue, it means they haven't circled it.
Right.
They haven't gone through the whole fact, assessment, feeling, request, and offer thing. And I make everyone do it themselves. Because you can't be the boss in resolving all this conflict, right? People have to resolve the conflict. You have to have the values, the behaviors, and the mechanism to resolve conflict so that everyone else can be living the values and not just the person who dreamt all this stuff up.
Good stuff. If you were to summarize, and by the way, I know I got to summarize quickly because I promised to get you off the phone by within 60 minutes, so I keep my word in that area. I start on time and I end on time. What would you say was your secret sauce? What made you so successful?
I think it's a combination of things. One, I am so well suited to I fell into this career by accident, but this is my career. I am here on this planet to help good people do great things, and that's our function. And I feel very fortunate that I found it so early in my professional life. Why I'm so good at it is because I'm choosy about who I work with, and I am very good at articulating expectations and then managing to those expectations, surpassing them. My secret sauce is sort of being able to see the vision of what is possible very early and getting people to get on board and pull in the right direction to achieve that goal.
Yeah, you're a world-class communicator. I can tell that. I can.
Thank you.
Because I know lousy ones. I know good ones and I know lousy ones. and it's so important. It's so important. And it goes
so
back
important.
to our original conversation in the beginning was people are talking and they think they're conversing and they're not understanding and they're lost. I should write that down.
Well, you should write that down. That's a tweetable moment right there.
I'm telling you. Good thing I got it on tape. I don't think I've ever said it that way before, but
Well, I think too, it's more important to be well respected than it is to be well liked.
yeah.
But often, if we focus on being well respected, by being clear, by setting expectations, by not being the exception to all the rules that we put in place, by working on making sure that the business is sustainable and forward-looking, then we might be well liked as a result of it. But if you're in charge and you focus more on being liked, well, first of all, you're probably not profitable. And second of all, allegiance doesn't come out of being liked, right?
Yeah.
Just because I like you doesn't mean I think I should tie my career to you.
Right.
I got a lot of friends that I would never work for.
That's right.
I love them, but I wouldn't want to work for them. And I think you have to divorce those two things in your head. And it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy because I want to be liked, but that's not the most important thing.
Yeah. We all do. Leadership is about doing the right thing, not the easy thing.
Exactly.
So, well, you're definitely a leader. I appreciate having you on today. Thanks for all the knowledge and sharing. And the swear words did not get that bad. We'll have to have you back on where you can really, really
well,
unleash.
now that I know Thor.
That's right. Yeah. we have one episode with a friend of mine who's an incredible fitness guru on the West Coast. And I literally had to put a warning. If there's any kids in the car, please stop this tape right now because the first words out of his mouth are not going to be kid-friendly.
Oh, my gosh. It's so funny. I'm trying to clean that up for myself. But
yeah,
I just can't help it.
Yeah, he's not. And I'm the same way, too. I think you can imagine that most of my clients tend to be alpha males because I'm in their face. I got one speed. You tell me where you want to go.
Enough, most of my clients are alpha males too.
Well, Lee, thank you very much. Oh, yeah, I can't tell the audience how they can get in touch with you.
The best place to find me is at my website, leecaraher.com, LeeCaraher.com. You can get to my agency, Double Forte, from there. You can find my books, you can find my blog, and you can find me on Twitter at @LeeCaraher.
Lee, thank you very much. Have an amazing week.
Thank you so much. It's been so much fun talking with you, Thor. Thank you so much for having me on your show. What an honor.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.